Wow, they actually had to play with fire? That's kind of annoying, but that's okay. Still might work my way around that. So with that, well, we have another Priest of the Forgotten Gods, which is okay too. Go swinging here with these two. Just a flex. I know. I just did that because I could. Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the latest in budget deck technology. And for today's deck tech, we're going to be going into the historic format to play a deck that actually I played this deck quite a while ago in a variety of different forms, but we're going to go as pure as we can. So we're going to take a mono black deck, sacrifice a ton of stuff for value, and then take advantage of a brand new card that we've already played before, but I wanted to see how well it does in this style of deck. This is Sniper and Sacrifice. But as always, longtime viewers of the channel will know that we need to go over the stats of the deck first before we jump into the deck tech itself. So we're looking at a low mana curve of about 1.6. We have pretty much all mono black. We have 28 creatures in the deck and 14 non-creature spells. To be more specific, it's going to be 6 instants, 8 sorceries, and only 18 lands. But again, the biggest thing that I want to look at to revitalize and breathe new life into it, of course, is the one and only Orcish Bowmasters. Obviously, you've seen me play this card in a previous deck tech already. If you haven't seen it already, I'll leave, of course, a link for that above. But honestly, this card is just so powerful and it's so awesome the way it is. I figured, why not we try it again utilizing one of my other favorite cards, Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Briefly, let's talk about this card. Priest of the Forgotten Gods is a 2-mana human cleric where it says you can tap it to sacrifice 2 other creatures and any number of target players each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature. You add 2 black mana and draw a card. So it's a sweet little engine piece that helps us keep drawing through our deck and utilizing a lot of sacrifice fodder to generate more value, keep our opponent's creatures off of the field one by one, and hopefully we can then generate enough value to get to victory. But again, this combined with Orcish Bowmasters creates for us another easy way of not only pinging our opponent, but also creating a lot more value out of it. But how do we get more value beyond even this? So with that, we're going to also take advantage of another card that I love, Call of the Death Dweller. Let's talk about this for a brief second also. Call of the Death Dweller is a 3-mana sorcery where it reads, return up to 2 target creature cards with a total mana value of 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a Death Touch counter on either of them, then put a Menace counter on either of them. So if you haven't already seen this is a simple but effective combo. What we really want to do ideally is you can ping away something with the Orcish Bowmasters if you need to, sacrifice the 2 creatures to the Priest of the Forgotten Gods to create some more value, and then later on you have Call of the Death Dweller bring back the Orcish Bowmasters. So when it comes back, you add a Death Touch counter to the Bowmaster. From there, any ping it does will be able to take out any creature regardless of how strong it is. So that's basically, of course, the simple little combo we're going to do. But of course, we need to create a lot more value and other ways of creating a way to get to victory. So with that, in the 1-drop slot, we have a ton of cheap interaction and creatures. So we're talking about utilizing cards such as Cursebound Witch. I know some people already have mentioned out there, Infernoman, you don't like alchemy cards. Well, honestly, I don't, but this one of course generates just enough value and I think it's still perfectly fine for the deck, and you'll see why in a second. Besides that, of course, we have Eye Twitch, and this means we are going to be utilizing a lesson package in the sideboard, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then finally, our other card that has a generate value immediately is Shambling Gas. So you can either -1/-1 something, then weaken it, or you can create a treasure token, which can help us generate more mana. The only other card that's in the 1-drop slot here is Serrated Scorpion. Not anything super crazy, but it does create some life gain and drain versus our opponent for 1 mana, so it's pretty effective as a blocker and an easy sacrifice fodder with the Priest of Forgotten Gods. As far as the ways of getting rid of our other creatures that our opponent may have that we have trouble with, we have Bone Shards. Great card also in this format. If we don't need an extra land, we just throw that away. If we just need to sacrifice a creature to create immediate value, it also creates for us that as well. So solid option for us in this deck. And the other instant way we can keep something back in case of our opponent tries to destroy it on the spot is Malachor Rebirth. Also, if you need a tap land in a pinch, this also works for us to help close out the game and take advantage of all the sacrificing we're doing. We're of course going to utilize Blood Artist, where we can then gain a ton of value off of any creature that does die. And then to create a little bit more card advantage, we have Deadly Dispute. What's awesome about this is we can take advantage of the treasures we don't need them, or say Cursebound Witch, maybe say give us like, say, oh, I don't know, that Witch's Cauldron right there, and when we don't need it, we can sacrifice it to the Deadly Dispute to create some actual mana and also generate even more value. So super cheap, but again, value town all day long. As I just mentioned earlier, the land base, of course, is only the 16 swamps. We have a Bojuka Bog as our graveyard hate in the main deck, and a Witch's Cottage, where we can also use this to create at least another extra bit of value, bringing back any one of our creatures and putting it back on the top of our library. I feel like we should make a count as how many times I've said value already before we've even begun the gameplay.
For 5 minutes. Could you not
Create value, value, value.
for 5 minutes?
With that, let's talk about the sideboard real quick. As I just mentioned, since we're using iTwitch, we are going to use a learned lesson style of sideboard. So with that, we're going to be pulling off, if iTwitch dies, either an environmental science to help gain some life, help us get another land out of our deck. We have necrotic fumes here. We can exile one of our creatures to then exile one of the creatures or planeswalkers if we just can't deal with it. Maybe it has indestructible. Inkling summoning gives us at least a flying option, which has evasion. It's a 2/1, not anything crazy, but it helps us out a bit. Pest summoning is probably going to be the most likely thing you're going to pull out of the sideboard because it creates 2 creatures, which we can use the Priest of Forgotten Guards to then sacrifice, gain some life, drain them out a little bit. Expanded Anatomy here to pump up any one of our creatures. Maybe we could put those tokens on the Orcish Bowmaster to create a much more bigger orc army and then hopefully defeat our opponent. And then finally, an Introduction to Annihilation. Normally, again, this is not something you want to give your opponent, which is draw cards whenever you exile something against them. But again, with an Orcish Bowmaster, that actually is in our favor because then we can punish our opponent, pinging them and creating our orc army, or at least making the one that we have existing bigger. As far as the other half of the sideboard is basically going to be the more traditional best of 3 options. So Duresses are going to be here for the control matches. If we have a ton of creatures that we just get overwhelmed with when they go wide, Ritual of Soot here. And also, if you have a Blood Artist out, this actually could close out the game very quickly on its own. And then finally, if we really have struggles against our opponent, we have Sheoldred the Apocalypse if we need to bring it into the main deck. The only downside, of course, to this card is you can't bring it back with Call of the Death Dweller, so you're going to have to really time well your Malachor Reapers if you don't want it to die. But otherwise, that's the whole game plan for you. I'm super excited to try this deck out, of course, in the format, so let's go ahead and play some matches in Historic and see how well it does. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content so you don't miss out on any of the gameplay, booster pack openings, deck decks, and so much more. Okay, my fiery friends, here we go. We're playing our Sniper Sacrifice deck here in Historic. And, well, we don't have our Bowmaster, but we do have a couple of things we could sacrifice to get a little bit more value and drain our opponent. So I think we can keep this, and we should be okay with it. It's going to be a little awkward, though, because we have some lands that are going to come and tap, but we'll find a way around that, I'm sure. Okay, so Swamp, and we will play iTwitch. We have Priest of the Forgotten Gods, which is pretty sweet. Hopefully our opponent here isn't going to try to go too crazy. We have a tap land. That's good for us. Fireblade Charger again. Alright, and, okay, so we have a Bone Shards. Not too shabby. Let's see, what do we do? We just have to put down a Bojuka Bog. A little awkward. We can't really exile anything, but that's okay. Serrated Scorpion. No attacks. Frenzied Geistblaster. Okay. Yay, alchemy cards. Okay. Opponent will probably not swing here, I don't think. Alright, cool. Another Swamp. We will... Do we play? I think we'll go with Priest of Forgotten Gods now. I'm expecting that to get blown up, so that'll be fine either way. No attack still. Alright, building up a board. We're super slow, of course, because again, we had a lot of tap lands, but again, even if our opponent here starts taking care of stuff, we can still get tons of value off of our creatures. I think we'll just take the hit. Ah, there it is. Titan Strength. Interesting flex, but okay. That's fine. Okay with that. Down to 12. We'll definitely gain that life back in just a minute. Just you watch, everybody. Alright, so with that, we will Blood Artist. We will Priest of Forgotten Gods. We will sacrifice these 2 creatures. Alright, life gain and drain time. We will bring out... What do we get? I guess I get a Pest Summonings. I'm assuming our opponent's going to get the Cacophony Scamp sacrificed, or the Fireblade Charger so they can take out our Blood Artist here. But we do gain even a little bit more off of that, so this is actually pretty sweet. I mean, yes, we're going to lose right now that Blood Artist, but that's okay. This is perfectly fine, everybody. That's par for the course. We still get more pings off of that, too. Swamp again. Pest Summoning. We will then Bone Shards, sacrificing Frenzied Geistblaster goes away. More life gain and drain. Okay. Wow, we actually did quite a bit that turn. That's actually great for us. Our opponent really doesn't have much going on right now, but we were able to slowly stabilize very easily here. They do not. Do they sacrifice their Cacophony Scheme? They do not. Interesting. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I guess they gave up here. That's fine for us. Yay! I like this deck. All right, my fighter friends, here we go. We're playing our Sniper Sacrifice deck here in Historic, and well, we do have a pretty good hand here. This is actually not too shabby, so we'll keep it. We have our Swamps. We have our Value. We play our Eye Twitch. We have our Priest, which is great for us, too. All right. Pathway Land. Thoughtseize. No. Well, never mind. We're going to lose now our Priest of Forgotten Gods. No surprise there. Okay. With that, everyone, I'm not too salty about that, but we'll still make it work. We will play Shambling Ghast. And we will play Eye Twitch. Go swinging with one of the other Eye Twitches. Down to 17. Alright, all the Storm Giants. Luna's Bodyguard. Okay, that's interesting. So with that, here's how we do this. Malakar Rebirth on... what do we do? Okay, Shambling Ghast. We then sacrifice, taking out the Blackguard. Sacrifice Shambling Ghast. Get a little extra value. Create a treasure. Comes back to the field. Go swinging here. Down to 15. A little clunky there, but we made it work. Guessing our opponent's playing fairies? Or rogues? One or the other. Oh, wow, okay, nothing. Okay, well, I'm okay with that. Let's go swinging here and see what they do. Down to 12. Most likely this is going to get destroyed or countered, but I'm still going to try to throw it down just to get stuff out of the way. There it was. Drown of the Lock. Thieves Guild Enforcer. Okay, it's a Rogues deck. Been a little while since I've seen a Rogues deck, but okay. Thoughtseize. Oh. Well, there goes our card draw to get back into this fight. It's okay. I'm not too mad. Down to 17 ourselves. Ooh, okay, Call the Death Dweller's not too shabby here. But we need to wait for a second here. We're going to swing and see what they do, if anything. Sorin Thought Thief. Okay, so there it was. Down to 8. We will create a treasure token. Call of the Death Dweller. So we can get back a Scorpion and a Priest. Alright. Scorpion gets that. Priest gets that. Okay. Well, our opponent's down to 2 cards. As long as they don't have any other removal, we might be okay here. Maybe. Rankle. Ooh. That's a Rankle in a while. Oh, man. That Bowmaster would have been sweet if we only got that back. That's okay. So with this, we'll block with here with the Scorpion. Down to 11. Our opponent probably is going to just going to do everything. Watch. Down to 6 on their end. Oh, wow. They actually didn't do anything there. Interesting. So, swing with their 2 Eye Twitches. They're down to 4. Can we pull it off here? Sacrifice our 2 Eye Twitches. We will get a Pest Summoning. We will get Environmental Science. Did we get there? We'll see right now. Ooh, okay. So, with that, let us play Blood Artist, a Swamp, and Pest Summonings. Hey, opponent! Well, it all comes down to this. I think we just beat Fairy, whatever they had. Even if they make a sacrifice right here, that's actually to our advantage anyway. Okay, so we have to sacrifice a creature. But it doesn't matter because we got there. We beat them nice and clean, everybody. Beating Rogues. Wow, I didn't think anybody still plays that deck. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. We are playing in the historic format here, our Sniper Sacrifice deck, and, well, we definitely have Sacrifice, but no Sniper, so that's okay. The Bowmaster will probably come later on. We just, again, got to keep the field under control. The opponent probably is going to have a lot of, maybe card draw with this, but we'll see in a bit. So, Swamp. We will play Shambling Ghast first. Okay, so game plan here. Get to the Priest of Forgotten Gods. Get to the Blood Artist. We start life gaining and draining our opponents. Territorial Kabu. Scary, but that's fine. We can still deal with that. Priest coming down. No attacks. Alright, land down. Fable the Mirror Breaker. We only had just a Bowmaster right now. That'd be so sweet to have with this card out. That's okay. Discard draw. Go blocks. Down to 16. Alright, we get an Eye Twitch. So, with that, how do we do this? Okay. Cursebound Witch. And an Eye Twitch. We initiate our sacrifice. What do we do? How do we get rid of this stuff? Okay. I think Shambling Ghast and Cursebound Witch. Go bye-bye. Make a treasure. And then, what do we get? What do we get? I guess it's going to be Trespasser's Curse. Not ideally what I wanted, but I'll take it. Gonna will obviously sacrifice the token. There's obviously no other option. Oh, wow. They actually sacrificed the Kavu. Wow. Spicy. Okay, well, that's perfectly fine with us. So, Witch's Cottage, Blood Artist, and Cursebound Witch number 2. So, we're set up right now for some more sack fodder, which is awesome for us. We can just get the Trespasser's Curse. I don't think we're going to get very many creatures against our opponent here, but that's perfectly fine. We can still throw this out there anyway, just to keep their life total low. They draw 2 cards. Okay. They shock themselves for a breeding pool. And 1 ring. Okay. Well, annoying. But I can still work with that, everybody. This is fine. They draw a card. They go swinging. Wow, they actually had to play with fire. That's kind of annoying, but that's okay. I can still work my way around that. So with that, well, we have another Priest of the Forgotten Gods, which is okay too. Go swinging here with these 2. Just a flex. I know. I just did that because I could. Okay. Real talk though. Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Cursebound Witch. Okay, they're down to 13. Here comes the flip of the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. The most busted cards we have right now in the format. 1 ring, doing the card draw. Another land. Hellish Norn. Oh, okay. Interesting. Alright. Well, scary, but still, we could fight through that. Take the damage. Okay. Ooh, okay. This is beautiful here. Okay, so here's how we do this. Bone Shards. We will sacrifice a creature here. Get rid of the Hellish Norn. We sacrifice Eye Twitch. Do our pings. Wow, okay. So with that, we'll pay. We will get... what do we get? I guess we get a Pest Summonings. Hellish Norn's gone. Ooh, a little scary there for a second, but okay. Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Sacrifice both Cursebound Witches. Tons of sack value here, everybody. Okay, so with that, we will get... I guess we'll get Torment of Scarabs. And we will get... Black Cat. Drain them out. Wow, we're almost there. We almost got them. I think we can still pull this off. Alright, they sacrifice their token. We draw a card off of that. They're down to 6. So, with that, Trespasser's Curse. Cursing our opponent here. No attacks. So even if they started cloning their stuff, we could still ping them. Alright, they draw some cards. They're down to 4, so they're close to the end here. Or do they have a way of stabilizing? Wow, we actually got them. We got there. I didn't think we were actually going to pull that one off, but oh man, that was so sweet. Beautiful. Defeating one of the most disgusting of decks out there, the Yorion pile, but I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm super happy we beat that deck. That deck's disgusting. And there you have it, everybody. So that was our Sniper and Sacrifice deck in the Explorer format. And tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Are you a fan of this deck in any way, shape, or form? I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty good about this deck. I'm actually really satisfied with how it turned out. Yes, there's going to be some moments that you're going to probably run into struggles because, again, the biggest linchpin to the whole deck is Priest of the Forgotten Gods. If she gets blown up, you will get destroyed very quickly. So keep that in mind. If you have to use your Call of the Death Dweller on Priest of the Forgotten Gods, by all means do so. But if your opponent, as you saw from our matches, does not get rid of this immediately, we can generate value like crazy, and we can basically start doing our thing where our opponent just can't stop us until they get rid of that card. So keep that in mind when you are playing the deck. Overall though, I'm again very satisfied with how it turned out, but what if we considered a way to make it even better than what it currently stands at? So let's take this, of course, and show you how you can make it even better than this. Now, if you're looking to upgrade the deck in any way, shape, or form, here's what I'm going to recommend for you. Personally, I think actually the main part of the deck overall with all the creatures and the spells we have don't need any changing or rearranging, so keep everything intact. As always, though, shouldn't surprise any of you guys. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but as always, upgrade your mana base as soon as you can. So we're talking about actually copies of Westvale Abbey. This can give you a really sweet, awesome demon creature if you sacrifice 5 creatures and then transform the Westvale Abbey into the Profane Prince. So keep that in mind as an option for you. Takanuma Man and Mire, this is also great for us. You can replace the Witch's Cottage. This gives you a little bit more consistency with an actual untapped land coming into the battlefield, or also you can just use it to mill out some stuff and then bring something back if you need to. You're going to trim down some of your swamps to make room for other utility lands. You have Phyrexian Tower. This gives you instant speed sacrificing if you need to, and some extra mana in a pinch when you just need to cast something else. You'll then put in Hive of the Eye Tyrant to get rid of the Bojuka Bog. Honestly, you probably could keep the Bojuka Bog, but this is going to be really up to personal preference. This at least gives you also a creature land, so if you do lose everything, you have another type of way of getting some damage through and getting to victory. Castle Lockwain, of course, another copy of this. This will help you, of course, get some card draw. You don't really have to worry about the life drain because there's going to be ways of getting that life back with Blood Artist. And then finally, something a little bit on the spicy side since we don't have a ton of legendary creatures at all. Barad-dûr from a legendary land from the Lord of the Rings set. So this will come to play tapped 99% of the time. However, you can use it to amass a bunch of orcs, only of course if a creature died this turn. As far as any other upgrades to the deck, if you do want to keep playing with the Eye Twitch, then obviously just keep the board as is. You don't really need to change much of anything. We are a low to the ground deck, so you don't need any of the rare or mythic lesson cards in here at all. This is perfectly fine. Of course, the other upgrades you can have is Thoughtseize. That should be as a no-brainer for everyone. Keep the Ritual Soots if you want to. It also depends, of course, on what kind of meta you're playing, but this is probably the most effective Wrath you're going to have in the format. And of course, I definitely am going to say keep your Sheoldreds in case if you have decks where they're going to combo off, they're going to draw a ton of cards and punish them in games 2 and 3 if it goes that far. But otherwise, my only other final thoughts I'm going to say on the deck is I'm super happy with how it turned out. Again, I'm a big fan of how the deck runs. You can run it as super low and cheap to the ground, and it still is pretty effective. It is very grindy, surprisingly, for what we are playing with. Orcish Bowmaster honestly does not disappoint in this deck, and it definitely makes a much more effective option for you to bring back if you have to in a pinch. You're going to see from the little bonus footage right now that I'm showing you that the card, of course, can pull its weight and definitely punches above its weight limit when you combo with it and when you kind of set it up just right. So if you do want to play this type of deck, I definitely would recommend it. It's definitely a fun style of sacrifice deck out there. It's also a lot cheaper. Maybe it's not as cheap in paper because of some of the inflated prices of Sheoldred and the Bowmaster, but if you are playing on Arena, this is definitely going to be one of the most effective and cheapest ways you can play a sacrifice deck. So if you're a fan of this style, if you're a fan of monocolored decks, if you just like pinging out your opponent with slow but effective creatures, definitely give this deck a try. And I assure you, when you drain out your opponent little by little, driving them nuts from all your sacrifice, you will definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.